Hey guys, Dr. Klein. I'm going to talk about two posture types that people think are good but are not. So, this first one, and Dr. Goodman tells a story. He's the creator of foundation training. He has a story of one guy, gold medal athlete, triathlon guy, and a couch potato sharing the same degenerative breakdowns. So let's pretend that this is the gold medalist and the couch potato. And that's hard to think about. And I like to say, I'm not here trying to fix lazy. Right there. That's lazy on the right. I can't fix that. I'm trying to fix people who are already trying hard. So I'm going to talk about two posture types that are usually people will say, oh, you have great posture, but they're really not. They have a lot of degenerative breakdown, the same as someone who isn't doing anything. So this can be called athletic hip or lower cross syndrome. And they're the same exact pattern, but you think some people who are athletic can have the same problem as someone who just sits at a desk all day and works there, or drives a truck all day, can have this same sort of anterior pelvic tilt where the pelvis is tilting forward, causing overdevelopment of these back muscles and increased curvature of the spine. So we'll get back to that and how the hip is related to that. But above this, we can have two different things. We can have the guy we just saw, lazy. This is what we call upper cross and lower cross syndrome together. Or we can have the cheerleader. So I've called this extension compression syndrome. So that's the fancy name. Dr. Shaler called it the cheerleader to help you guys get a visual there. So what the cheerleader does is she will take her spine, keeps the anterior pelvic tilt, everything that's broken down below, and really extends and pushes everything back. So this is the person that kind of cheats a little bit. So we want the ear, shoulder, hip, and heel lined up. And this is someone who can actually pull that off, but still stay in a state of compression. So when we're talking about strengthening the spine, it's always resisting gravity. It's like someone who is out in the space shuttle all the time, zero gravity. They tend to compress because they have nothing to resist up against. And that's the same with chiropractic. We're adjusting a segment, and if it comes back again, there's muscular things that are pulling it out. There's dominant muscles like these guys. These are dominant and balanced muscles, the ones in red that we're showing. So we could have tight erector spinae, tight hip flexors, and if there's something tight, there's something weak. You guys have heard this from me before. It's nothing new. So we can have a semi-correction up top, but it actually just makes things worse. So I'm actually not getting taller, I'm keeping my tilt, and I'm just extending. So I'm extending into compression, which is just making things worse. It's pushing the spine downwards. It's actually not lifting up, because when we lift up, the pelvis is going to come out of that anterior pelvic tilt. The hips are going to do their job and support the spine, and then we're allowed to add that extension in. Extension is not something that's bad, but especially when those erectors are already overdeveloped, it just creates this distorted posture that's going to lead to, and the question you got to ask yourself is, do I have this problem? Do you have pain? Do you have headaches? Do you have spasms in your upper traps? Do you have lower back pain? If you have pain, your posture is bad. It's as simple as that. Think about it that way. All right, let's move on to this next one. Retraction and sway. You can think about this as a runway model. And I feel like I'm picking on girls here, but guys have these same syndromes. So it's just pictures for your mind there. The runway model, obviously, is a little bit opposite. So look at this x-ray here. We see not an increased curvature. Maybe at the bottom we kind of see, because that's where the pelvis is swaying forward. But it's more of like this weird S-shaped curve instead of a big, C lordosis. So sway back, some people will say sway back, and they think that lordotic, like a sway back horse, but it's actually not. It's not that increased curvature. It's actually almost a flattening, a kyphotic curvature of that lumbar spine. So we can have two different types of people here. We can have the lazy person, and then we can have the person that's really trying hard, that I want to help, the person that's trying hard to work smarter and not harder. So this person tends to try to hold up their body with their shoulders. So they really lift. So the pelvis is out in front. That's why it's called sway. The pelvis is swayed forward. So there's no foundation there. So the shoulders do all the work. And that creates all this tightness up here because those shoulders are trying to decompress the spine. So this person may not be in decompression, but they still haven't taught their spine how to use those muscles, little tiny posterior chain muscles that actually lengthen us and hold us up there. Because we need the hips as a foundation for those posterior chain muscles to activate. So this person is simply just trying to hold themselves up with their shoulders all day long. It's really tiring. So this is someone that's really trying hard at the desk, or really trying hard when they're standing and walking, but those hips are forward, everything's broken. So they're going to have just as much problem as someone who's not trying. And that bothers me. You can see why I'm passionate about this. Okay. So we have the pelvis forward. So that's one cardinal sign here that's different from the other one, is you'll see the hips forward versus the shoulders a little bit behind. So this is another person that will be told, you have great posture. You look like a runway model, but it's broken. There's no foundation. The hips are not underneath the spine well enough to support and lift. So we'll see this distortion in the spine because we're supposed to have a nice sloping C shape here. So this person will actually kind of look like they almost have a flat back. The neck will look very flat. There'll be a lack of curvature in the neck, a lack of curvature in the mid back. All we'll see is really this kind of dip here at the bottom where they tend to get lower back pain. So this person, chiropractic wise, let's talk chiropractic, will be very tight in the neck, and they'll often feel very swollen and weak in the lower back. Why? Because they're using everything up top. You're using those shoulders to hold up their spine. So the chiropractor, this person can have sciatica, and the other person can have sciatica too. And that's why the chiropractor will work on your neck sometimes to help sciatica go away. And you're like, I don't get how that works. This is one of the reasons why that can happen, another reason could be a bone just out of place, but it also could be just the muscles pulling everything. So pulling upwards, that's tractioning those lumbar nerves that can cause either mechanical compression or traction compression on those sciatic nerves. And it could be any of the lumbar nerves, really. Sciatic is the big one to use an example. So really weak down low because they're not using their hips, they never train their hips to work, and really tight up top. This could be a super athlete that can have this problem, or it could be someone who's just lazy. So back to the other one. So the athletic hip, or the lower cross syndrome, we can see almost the opposite. They will be very tight down the lower back. These are the ones that usually get good adjustments, good movement in their low back. Neck is usually on fire. It's inflamed all the time. It's irritated. It's weak. So weaker neck versus tighter low back. So we can see the reverse of those two problems. And we'll see very similar, and we'll almost like look at these posture types as it's hard to say, like somebody's lazy versus someone who's trying too hard. It's hard to tell if we're just looking at one region. That's why at Rimrock Wellness Center we try to look at the whole body. It's a whole body approach, not only with chiropractic, but when we're looking at posture, muscular balance, giving you the right exercises to do, we're looking at the whole body because we can't just treat one symptom because everything is related. And most of you who come here know, like this mid-back pain might not even be related that much to the mid-back. Could be the neck, could be the mid-back, could be your feet. We check it all. So ask your chiropractor which posture type you are and ask for some corrective exercises, because I don't like to throw exercises at people that aren't interested. If I'm talking to you, it's because I really care about you. So hopefully this helps and sheds some light. I know it was really confusing, but I felt like I had to go there. I don't like to go there because foundation training is actually really simple. It's the same idea. For both corrections, it's just simply resisting gravity, teaching your body to do that. It's going to correct both these syndromes by just teaching the hip to engage and teach the spine to lift off the hips. So it's actually less crazy. And you don't have to spend a million hours watching YouTube videos trying to fix your anterior pelvic tilt and posterior pelvic tilt, because you can't focus on those syndromes because you don't know what's going on up top. You need the whole body experience. Hopefully that helped. Show you those last slides one more time. Extension compression syndrome and retraction and sway. Very common, not just women. I know runway model and cheerleader, but there are cheerleader men and runway model boys. All right, guys, have a great day. Come in and see us. We love you.